Welcome everybody to the Single and Stiletto Show. I'm Suzanne Oshima and I'm a life and love transformational coach and founder of Single and Stilettos. Today we have a very special guest, Tanya Marie Dubé, and she's a personal development and training coach and published author. And I'm so excited to have her here today because today we're talking about a really hot topic that I think is coming to the forefront a lot lately, and the signs that you're dating a narcissistic man. But before we jump into this hot topic, Tanya, I would love for you to tell the women about you and how you became a personal development coach.
Sure, I would love to. Thank you, everybody, so much. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much, Suzanne. I became a personal development training coach quite young. I've been coaching now for upwards of 26 years, and it all started with how I grew up. So I grew up in the foster care system, and then from the ages of 12 to 18, unfortunately, I was living on and off the street trying to finish my education. At the age of 17 years old, I was lucky enough to be given by my guidance counselor at school an entry-level psychology university book. And it sat there sort of haunting me for the better part of 6 months to sit there and start learning it. And right at this time, I exited school and I needed to get my own apartment and work. So in an apartment, if you can picture it, with no furniture except a little table and the psychology book, no TV, no nothing, I eventually started pouring through it. And as life would have it, the law of attraction brings to you what it is you're thinking the most about, right? So for me, I was, digging deep and delving into all of this information, and people started coming to me needing what I was learning. So I became coaching at 17 years old when I didn't even realize I was coaching.
Oh my God, and there probably weren't any really coaches back then, right?
There weren't. And you know what, even when the idea of a life coach came out, I was kind of too embarrassed to call myself that. I didn't know what it meant, and I didn't feel qualified enough. But let me tell you something. If a lifetime of experience in adversity does not make you an expert, I don't know what will.
Well, and that's what honestly makes a great coach, is that you've been through this already, right? And you've survived. So you're a total survivor. So
Yeah.
let's jump into it. So what are the signs that a woman is dating a narcissist?
Okay, well, first of all, and I've made a lot of notes so that I can keep this as short as possible, so I'm going to be looking down on my notes, but I wanted to bring it to everyone's attention that narcissism in itself, narcissistic personality disorder, is a shame-based disorder. So I'm going to talk today about, I'm going to talk about one type of narcissistic person, which is a covert narcissistic person, which means they're shy. They're not the alpha male narcissist. The reason I'm going to talk about the covert today is because I find that's the one that most people are dealing with. Most of my clients are dealing with this. I've dealt with this in my past. So like I said, the difference between them is covert is they're shy. They need a lot of different tactics to get to you. They're not as open and in your face as an overt narcissist. Mm-hmm. A covert narcissist can take years and years and years to dismantle you, to dismantle your emotional state of being, your psychological well-being, whereas an overt will be more in your face and it'll sort of be happening as you go. Let me just quickly say, too, that covert narcissist victims, it can get so bad for us that if we're not understanding fully what's happening to us, there's a lot of emotional and physical ailments that come from something like this. So anyhow, we'll get into all of that. So can I get into the 3 tips right this second?
Yeah, of course.
Did I explain that enough? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So 3 signs you're dating a narcissist. 1, they are entitled. They are entitled. They're arrogant. They will never apologize to you. The reason they'll never apologize to you is because they think that they're all the way up here and you are all the way down here. And just like a king would never apologize to a peasant, they're never going to do it. They may admit to doing some wrong just for the sake of trying to not get into a huge argument with you, if that's the way that they are, but they will never, ever, ever, ever say, I'm sorry, and mean it. They're not confident, though. They're very, very, very vulnerable to stress. They take up so much energy in hiding their narcissism that they have nothing left over, really, to be themselves, right? So these kinds of narcissists tend to be a little bit lethargic. They don't have a ton of energy for a lot of lifestyle things. Mm-hmm. If you look really, really closely, you'll see that their lives are a little bit messy. Their lives are a little bit messy because they can't handle the stress. They don't know how to put all the pieces together. Did you want to ask me anything about the first one?
No, Go.
Okay. There's so much to say, and I've only got three. So, okay. I wanted to say, yeah, so there's a lot of self-isolation, a lot of withdrawal, a lot of self-pity.
Mm-hmm.
If you dig deep enough, you'll see that the image they want people to have of themselves is not really who they believe they are. This is the thing about covert narcissists. The conflicting thought is, I'm not good enough. That's the conflicting thought for narcissists, even though they're very arrogant and they're very entitled and they have this big, grandiose sort of like image of themselves that they want everyone to think that they are.
Mm-hmm.
Deep down inside, they're so angry because they really don't believe that they deserve it. They don't believe you deserve it either. And they'll try to take that from you.
That's really interesting because, and I didn't even know there were different types of narcissists, but you called this one the covert one, right?
Yeah, it's covert narcissism.
Okay, so I have a question for you because this is what honestly is confusing, and not only to me, but I'm sure to my audience, is because everybody thinks of the narcissist as someone who's really outgoing, likes to be the center of attention. So it's almost like this conflicting thing, like what you were describing, in that he's shy. You said he was shy, right?
Well, covert will be, the idea behind covert is that they hide it. Like they really do a good job hiding it. So and I'll get into these other two things as well, but they go into this huge thing about how they're such great people and they're rescuer kind of people. And they'll have the kinds of jobs or the kinds of interests in society that make you think they're great people. But what they're really doing is hiding in plain sight. Right?
So you're not saying that they're like shy in person. Like, that's not what you're saying.
They can be, but you'll see more of that in the home. So if you're not living with them, you're not going to see them fall apart and break down. You're not going to see how they really are very shy and how they really are very vulnerable. But because they'll show you their best version of themselves every chance they get. Right? So you may not see it for a really, really long time, but what you could pay attention to more than anything is how this person is making you feel. One of the big things that come along with being involved in a relationship with a narcissist is that you become this detective. You become this super sleuth, and that's not normal. You shouldn't be looking online for, reasons why your relationship is weird, or reasons why you feel so strange, or you feel so dismantled, or emotionally, just all over the place, right?
Right.
So this is what happens. And for people who don't quite get what it's like to be in a relationship with a narcissist, there's a lot of guilt for the victim as well, because there's a lot of them making you feel like you're stupid and you're not worthy. So there's a lot of rebuttal that comes from the victim back in their face about how smart you are and how strong you are and how could they talk about you this way. And the roles start to reverse a little bit because this is the ammo of the narcissist. The ammo of the narcissist is to make you feel so bad about yourself that you say and you do things that put them above you now. And then you're left with these feelings of, like, how did I get here? What just happened, right? So this is the only thing that narcissists are always looking for. They're looking to feed off of your emotional state of being, your emotional mind.
Right. Are there any other signs that you're dating a narcissist?
Yeah, I've got two more.
Okay.
We still have time? Yeah. Okay, so they are self-centered. Oh my goodness, this is crazy. They are neurotically self-centered. Everything is always all about them. They will feign listening, they will pretend, but they're not really listening. This is what makes them very bad gift givers, because they're never paying attention to what you actually like, or what you actually need, or what you actually want. So you'll get these random awful gifts from them usually. Yeah, they're very stubborn. They have no respect for boundaries. They're hypersensitive to criticism because that little bit of criticism can ruin this big image that they've projected of themselves. So, if you really want to see if your person is a narcissist, you're going to start picking at, little things, just things that normal, people wouldn't probably get upset about. But you'll ask them the same question two different ways and just watch what happens. It's a very interesting thing. They're very hypersensitive, and some of them even have these wicked emotional outbursts of crying because they don't know how to pull it together fast enough because they feel like the whole thing's slipping through their fingers, right? I'm not trying to set anybody up to go set anyone up, but that's a good way to find out. Right. So when they're pushed up against a wall, this leads them to their own victim mentality. So they twist everything that they do around your response. So they can do anything they want and say to you, but your response will probably be, if you're being pushed against a wall, verbally, or physically, you're going to fight back in some way. Hopefully, you're going to say, why do you keep doing this to me? What are you doing? That reaction that you're going to have to their behavior is the thing that they end up holding against you, which is crazy. So when you realize you're in a relationship with a narcissist, you have to understand a couple of things. There's no fixing that. There's no fixing it because you can't use logic and reason. And really quickly, before I get into the third one, I want to give everybody this visual of this small little toddler boy who really desperately wants what he wants, and you're the mom. And he's asking you every way, going through every single emotion to try to get what he wants from you. But it's not working because you said no to ice cream before dinner. This kid will literally, if any of you have children or have been around children, you'll see, children they'll go from crying to really angry to I hate you to I love you to wanting a hug from you to reminding you that you forgot and didn't keep up your last promise. This is what it's like being with a narcissist. Only, a narcissist man, an adult man, they've got much more ammo. They know how to twist it and how to get to you, and they're literally just feeding off of you. But their ice cream is your emotions. Does that make sense?
It totally makes sense. It really makes sense. And that was a great analogy. I like that one.
Oh, good. Yeah, I know. This is how I've got through past relationships where I've been involved with people who are narcissists. I imagine them as little babies not getting their way. And I'm telling you, it makes life a whole lot easier for me because I don't feel like I've lost something anymore. I feel like I've gained my freedom because after you've lived inside of something like this for so long, it really does take a lot to fix and to rebuild and to get yourself back to who you are. Make no mistake. This is I always call narcissism it's the only premeditated hate crime sort of behavior that goes unnoticed by most, and we can't punish them by law.
Right.
So we're left with picking up the pieces of this person who is really out to get you. Like they're always out to get you.
Right.
Yeah. So should I get into the third one really quickly?
Really quick. Let's do the third one.
Okay. So they're massive liars. They will lie about everything all of the time. It's just because it's a part of, being covert. That shy part is a part of their narcissistic personality disorder. They don't have any emotional muscle, so they will use whatever they can, and lying is huge. So if you've got, you're in a relationship with someone who is lying about inconsequential things, this is an idea for you that, you're in a relationship with someone who's just looking to get constantly. Again, you cannot use logic or reasoning with them, and I suggest doing all the research you can to figure out, how you can get your head around what you're going through. So that's it. Those are my 3 tips that you're dating a narcissist.
Okay, and I'm going to ask you one last question, but we do have to wrap this up, is because I think these are great signs to see if somebody's a narcissist, but if someone, because I want to give the women some tools, if someone figures out she's dating a narcissist, how does she get out? Because I'm sure once you're in it, it's really hard to get out, because all I pictured was like this web of deceit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've walked away from relationships like this because I've made the decision. And I think if you're a logical and a reasonable person, and I keep using these words because it's what disconnects us or separates us from them. If you're logical and you're reasonable, then you understand that this is not something that's going to be fixed with anything you're going to say or do. As a matter of fact, anything you say or do will then be held against you by this person as an attack on them, no matter how good your intentions are or how badly you want to try to save the relationship. So you can torture yourself for years. This is the conclusion I came to. I can continue to torture myself for years, or now that I know, now that I have an understanding, it's my responsibility to get myself out of there.
Right.
So this is what I did. Now, really quickly, I'll say, if you are in a relationship with a narcissist, let's say you're going through a divorce or a separation and you've got to keep contact with them, there's a couple of things that I teach my clients. One of them is called pseudo-stupidity. Pseudo-stupidity is going to be your best friend. When dealing with a narcissist, remember, their only intention is to mess with you. That's all they want to do. They'll do it through the kids. They'll do it through false promises. They'll do it through anything that they can, and it'll drive you crazy. But what you do in that instance is you're going to use pseudo stupidity to distract them. So, you know, they'll be trying to get you all riled up emotionally, and you'll just change the subject and start talking about your day. It'll completely disarm them. They won't know what you're talking about, and then you end the conversation because you got to go. What you're trying to do is you're trying to lessen the supply of the emotion to them. And that leads me to another one. So the other technique that I have is called the gray rock method. It's very much exactly the way that it sounds. You're going to make yourself as boring as possible. So if they are sending you texts and emails that have 30 words, you're going to respond with 5. No emotion ever. What you're trying to do is psychologically teach them that they're not going to get their supply from you. Right? And over a period of time, it does take time to get this, to go through this, but over a period of time, that's exactly what you've done. You've lessened it, and you've lessened it as you're adjusting and as you're also learning, and then eventually they will go find it from somebody else.
Well, those were some great tips on how to get out and handle them. So, Tanya, I would love for you to tell the ladies about your free gift.
Oh, my free gift, yes. So I am putting on a free webinar, where I'm teaching. I have this amazing topic that I've come up with, the 5 things that can destroy your chances of rebuilding your life after divorce. So this is going to be an hour-long webinar where I'm going to talk about the 5 things that you are going to do to ruin your chances of rebuilding your life. And, you know, if I'm known for anything, it's about getting it together and fixing yourself and taking control over what you actually can control, which is you. So I think Suzanne's going to put everything below for you and the dates and everything. Perfect.
Awesome. So, ladies, if you would like to get Tanya's free gift, you can click right here below the video to get it. If you're listening to the podcast, you can go to singleonstilettos.com and look for Tanya's free gift. And thanks everybody for joining us on the Single on Stiletto show. Our show is available both in video format and podcast format. If you would like to get the videos, you can go to singleonstilettos.com, and if you would like to get the podcast, you can download it from iTunes. And if you would like to get our free gift, the Secrets About Men video series, you can click right here on the video, or you can go to singleonstilettos.com.